Shalom. I'm going to get after Spiritual Warfare 104, the armor, now. So, no more, don't push that button joke here, though. That was funny, though. Because I'm talking to you 1 minute and it's dialing other numbers on its own. There's the next minute, so. Weird things. We get all situated here. Besides, you can ask me questions as we go again. Because I'll probably miss stuff. Ephesians 6:10. The armor of Yahweh. I should have actually written some of this stuff down. I'll write it down to go. Finally, my brethren, be strong in the master and in the power of his might. Put on the whole armor. I'm going to look up armor just to help everybody. 38:33. What I need to do is cut this. Yeah. Put that at the beginning of the Strongs. 38:33. I need to get another computer up here, actually. And put the sword project on it, and I could actually have these all lined up. And I'm usually pretty quick about looking these up, though. But we're going to get after this. 38:33. Went back one too far. From a compound, full armor, whole armor. It's so. If you think about armor, though, it's everywhere. I have another black one. Much better than that one. So. I just wanted to make sure that we was on the same thing. That way people could just look it right up. Anyway. I'm actually taking. So put on the whole armor of Elohim, that ye may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. We never did look up wiles, did we? 38 or 31:80. So what is wiles? We need to define these things. People need to get a Strong's Concordance and start looking up what these words mean, or the Sword Project. The Sword Project is free. I don't know why anybody... Because then you can just fire your computer up, basically put the cursor over, because this is, I'm using a King James Version, and all you have to do is, like right here, you would put it over wiles, which is 31:80, and what would happen is it would bring it up from a compound, compare traveling over, i.e. traverse, trickery, lie in wait. That's really close to murder. And the devil, 1228. Well, look up what the devil is. What do you think the devil is, Joe? An evil person. I like that one. Anything other against God. Well, this particular word describes it as Satan. False accuser, devil, slanderer. Remember the words accuser and slanderer, because they are the primary things that we have to go through, okay? Get over here where I can write. See, I should have actually written this stuff down. Make sure I'm spelling that right. D. And slanderer. That's Satan. Okay? Okay, that's the word that's used for the devil. Okay. Most Jewish people say Hasatan. It means the Satan. Okay. Romans 12 I got marked here too for some reason. So let me just pop Romans 12 up. 11, 12. Romans 12 what? Or no, Romans 13, 12. Go backwards. The night is far spent, the day is at hand. Let us therefore cast off the works of darkness, and let us put on the armor of light. I did not write down darkness. 3571. I don't know why I didn't do that. Oh, that was on another teaching, that's why. Never mind. Anyway, should look that one up. I'm going to look it up really fast. There's a reason for that one too. There's a reason for every word that we used. I don't care what anybody says. I know that they say it's been twisted, the words this, that, and man. God was in charge of the whole thing. See, this is different. This is literally or figuratively midnight. The other one that's right down from here, you'll find is not. It is twisted. But it's still translated night, which shows people that the same word that you're reading is not the same word that started out with. Anyway, to put on the whole armor of Elohim, that you may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, that's this, nephesh, but against the principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Okay, so for everybody who wants to start learning some of the spiritual side of this, principality, powers, rulers. We're starting to talk about what's in charge in the spiritual world. So we're now starting to get where everybody wants to get. They want the names of all these things. Okay, and like I was trying to explain to you earlier, it does me no good to teach you the names of the car that run you down until I teach you how to get out of the road. So, let's define spiritual, which we've already looked that up. That's the number. Spiritual is spiritual. Okay? It really means kind of what you think it does, or most people do. It's the spiritual aspect of many things. I can't really pronounce it right. I'm going to just go ahead and look it up because we're both close together anyway. It's 4152. Alright, it's pneuma, which is the spirit. 4152. I'm not going to pronounce it, i.e. humanly, ethereal, as opposed to gross or a spiritual, a spirit, concretely or divinely, supernatural, regenerate, religious, spiritual. Okay, this is all for the root is non-carnal. That's what I was looking for, i.e. humanly. Okay, so it's the opposite, non-carnal, non-humanly, or not humanly. And it's from 4151, which is pneuma, where you get pneumatic tires from. It's the breath. It's the same as Barak? No. I can't think of it. Ruach in Hebrew. Anyway, it's the rational soul, vital principle, mental disposition, or superhuman angel, demon, God, Christ, Spirit, the Holy Spirit, Ghost, life, spiritual, spiritually minded. It's not of this world, spiritual. Wickedness is 4189, which is from 4190. Depraved, i.e. malice. I mean, think about that. Depraved. Depraved indifference. He used depraved indifference when he killed them people. I mean, it's from 4190, which is from a derivative of 4192. Hurtful, i.e. evil, properly in effect or influence. He affected or influenced, thus differing from, which refers rather essentially. It goes on to a bunch of stuff, but indicates, basically it's what people think evil is. Okay? He did an evil act. It's unrighteousness. The best way to describe that is unrightness. So I'm hoping people are starting to catch on how to study. When you go, I know what spiritual wickedness is. That's people that are, going out there. No, you got to define the word spiritual and then the word wickedness and put them together. And then look at the context. In high places. Now we're talking about a completely different thing. The rulers of darkness in this world against spiritual wickedness in high places. It's listing them in order. Principal, powers, rulers. Now spiritual, this is individual people just doing wicked things. You have rulers over places and areas and things. Say the head of a rulers would be of darkness in the world. Think about, you have a company that's doing evil things. Okay? I'm not going to put anything out there. But pick a company that's doing something evil, that's really not right. Okay? Whatever they're doing, like if they're doing something to the environment, they're not repairing what they're doing as they go along, which is what they should be doing. Okay? They're just stripping it, raping it, whatever it is. I don't want to put anything out there, but you get the idea. That's a ruler. Powers, now we're starting to talk about what's over countries. Principalities are entire areas. Or powers are more like a city, I'm sorry. Rulers can be over a city too. It's depending in size and stuff like that. And principality, we can go on about that. We'll get into that much more detail, but what he's trying to tell us here right now is absolutely, we do not fight against a man in front of us. And that's really important because a lot of us think we do fight right there. Let's fight it out with it. We don't. We fight what's behind him in the spirit world. We've got to know how to do that. First of all, we've got to start putting on some armor. And therefore take unto you the whole armor of Elohim, that ye may be able to withstand in the evil day, and having done all to stand, stand. Therefore, having your loins girt about with truth. Now, the gentleman on the phone here did not know what gird means, and it's where we get the word girdle from. Stand up if you're a male and put on a dress that goes to your ankles, then get you a very long rope, say 8 or 10 feet long. You tie it around your waist. It was customary to use the sash. It's kind of like my tallit here that you turn the other way with a hole in it. Men wore robes that go all the way to their ankle. That's why I said go put a skirt on. You'll figure this out real fast. Really tight around the ankles. You try to run, you can't do it. If you pull it up and you let go of it because you got a shield in one arm and a sword in the other, it falls back down. Now you still can't move again. So what they did was they girded it up. They would use the sash that they used to tie the rope together. They would tie it in such a way as it went behind them, through their legs, held up their robe, basically made a really saggy pair of shorts, and tied it in front. That's girding it up, and it's truth. Okay? Don't miss the part about what we're using to do that. Truth. This is where people, I girded up. What'd you gird up with? Well, What did you girt up with? That's what we got to figure these things out, people. Instead of saying, well, I put on the whole armor, you need to define what each piece is. In this case, truth is 225. It actually means truth. And you can look at, it's attached to 227. Truth, true, truly, truth, verily. 227 is as a negative particle, truth, as not concealing, truth, truly, truth. So truth is the unconcealing of something. No matter what the subject is, it is the unconcealing or the laying bare of all of it. You can't hide any part of it. Unveiling would be a good way to say it. And having on the breastplate, and we know what a breastplate is if we watched any of the Great Knight movie. It goes on the front, it goes on the back. You could also call it a back plate. It's front and back of righteousness. Well, now we all think we know what righteousness is. Let's find out. That's 1343. Okay? Because if we don't determine what righteousness is, we have a problem. It's equality of character or act, specifically Christian. Justification, righteousness. You notice I'm not really into the Greek, so I don't know how to say a lot of the Greek. I'll hang with Hebrew. Rightness, righteousness is, let me read that again. It's 1343 is the number. Equality of character or act, specifically Christian, which should be translated Christ man, but justification, righteousness. Right. And we've already determined, if you read the Bible and look up what righteousness is according to the Father, it's doing the law, staying inside the law. Okay, that's coming up. It's going to be 105A, I believe. It's called the guardrails of life. It will explain righteousness and how it works. Now, and your feet shod with the preparation of the good news of peace. Now, this is one of the things that bothers me. People miss a lot of stuff here. They want to just blow over. First of all, what does your feet do? It moves you. Shod is what you do to a horse, which is put something on the bottom of the foot for traction. With the preparation, this is what you put on the bottom of your foot of the good news. 2098. Look, what is 2098? Good news. Let's find out, because we're not always sure what we're going to end up when we get to it. We think we know these things. Let's see what this actually says. Well, now, let's try this. I'm not even going to try to pronounce the name, but from the same as, and I'll say it again, 2097, a good message. I.e., an example, the gospel. Doesn't say the gospel. It says a good message. Not the gospel, a good message. 2097, that's what it's from there. I'm not going to try to pronounce that. From 2095 and Angelos 32, to announce good news. Evangelize, especially the gospel. Doesn't say the gospel. It says announce good news. If you're having a child, you're announcing good news. Just a thought. So don't put everything in a box that you think you know. Declare, bring, declare, show, glad, good tidings, preach, in quotation, the gospel. I'm actually doing the good news right now. Because the good news is the kingdom. I'm trying to help people understand how this works, how the armor works. Well, now, and your feet shod with the preparation of the good news. And here's the last two words. Of peace. Of peace. The good news of peace. It's not the good news of salvation. It's the good news of peace. Why are we not doing salvation here? That does seem somewhat odd. Well, let's find out what the peace is. Probably from a primary verb, to join. Peace, literally or figuratively, by implication, prosperity. 1. Peace, quietness, rest, plus set at one against. And there is no tagline. In other words, it's not going to another word. That's it. That's all you get. From a primary verb, ero, to join. Peace, literally or figuratively, by implication, prosperously. Prosper Italy. Never mind. 1. Peace, quietness, rest, plus set at one against. Think about putting a block beside a block. Hey, like building the kingdom. And you go around with this. That's what you're doing. Your preparation of the good news of building the kingdom of peace. Just a thought on how that works. There's far more there if you want to get into it. There is a lot of teachings online that are good for this. I'm just doing a brief overlay. Above all, taking the shield of faith. Now this gets interesting. We all know what a shield is. Generally most people hold their left arm. But faith. That's 4102. And if you have a Strong's Concordance, you should be using it right about now. Keep up with me. If you can't, that's okay. Remember, I'll take photos at the end of this. It will have all that, all this, all this. Just remember, that's Satan. Accuser, slanderer. What was that number again? I done forgot. Got all mad at the wicked one. 4102. 4102. That comes from 3982. Persuasion, i.e. credence, moral, conviction of religious truth or the truthfulness of God or a religious teacher, especially reliance upon Christ for salvation. Uh-oh. We're relying on something. Christ for salvation, abstractly, consequently, in such profession, by extension, the system of religion, religious gospel truth, self-assurance, believe, faith, fidelity. And we could go back and look what it's attached to, which is 3982. Just to make sure nobody's... See, you always go back and find out the base of it so that you can get a better picture of what's really going on inside of a word. It really helps a lot in the Hebrew. A verb, to convince, by argument, true or false, by analog, to pacify or conciliate, joining together, by other fair means, reflectively or passively, to ascend to evidence or authority, to rely, by inward certainty, agree, assure, believe, have confidence, be, wax, make friend, obey, persuade, trust, yield. So what is faith? We have faith in something. It's as simple as that, actually. It's as simple as that. That's what you're believing in. The blood. Now, with that, you be able to quench all the fiery darts of the wicked. 4190 again. I want to make this really simple. You have faith in the entire word of Elohim. Front to back. Everything he said is true. Period. That's none of it's done away with. If we are making him saying that there's some kind of incongruities or a conflict or whatever, guess what? There isn't. We're just not interpreting it right somehow, some way, somewhere. So, and remember this, the shield is in your arm and your arm moves. I know your feet walk, but the shoe never comes off of it. It never does anything defensively or offensively for the most part. I mean, if you really watch some of the war movies, yeah, but the shield is what stops it. And take the helmet of salvation. That's the cross. Okay, if you don't have it, you're going to get your head cut off. Simple as that. The helmet is salvation itself. If you don't have it, you can't put the armor on. That's the first thing you got to put on. And the sword of the Spirit. The Spirit, the third member. The Spirit, which is the word of Elohim. What do you think the word is? So every time he shoots something, you got to knock it down. You had best have the word in your mouth. And if you paid any attention to your New Testament, if you just even read just the New Testament, it talks about that all over the place. He fights in the book of Revelation with a two-edged sword that comes out of his mouth. It's the Word. Yahshua is the living Word. It's the Word. The sword is the Word. If you don't know it, you can't fight. That's why so many people are getting stomped. It's because they're not using the correct materials. Somebody told them, well, you know what, it's okay, if we do this. No, it's not. Nowhere in the Bible does it say to do certain things, and I don't want to get into an argument about it right now. We'll do that later. But the church, I'm going to go with the Sabbath day, because everybody knows there's a big argument on that. There is no place in this entire Bible, front to back, and in any of the manuscripts that I've looked at and read, that said the Father changed from the last day of the week to the first day of the week. Last day of the week is our Saturday, which is named after a pagan god. And the first day of the week, also named after a pagan god, by the way. In Hebrew, it's not. Don't say nothing about the fourth Hebrew month. I know about that too, but never mind. The whole thing I'm getting at, though, is if you don't know that, it's never, ever, 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 ever been changed in here. Ever. And you realize that some man said, I've got the authority to do that. I mean, whoa, why do you got the authority to do that? Where does it come from? It doesn't. Now, there's nothing wrong with meeting on Sunday. There's nothing wrong with meeting on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. In fact, I say we do it every day. But what you are supposed to do is keep the seventh day holy, as written down in the fourth commandment of Elohim. It doesn't say you've got to go to church and have church every Saturday. Although Jewish people go to church every Saturday and go to a synagogue, assemble themselves and learn the Word better than most Christians, because most Christians sit around and the guy will just read one verse or two verses and that's it. But in a synagogue, for the most part, they read entire stories. There's whole readings. So they end up going through the entire Old Testament in just a short period of a few years, where we take 50 to go through the New Testament. All right, that's enough on me and the sword and the Spirit. Praying always with prayer. That's what we use. Prayer is our ammunition. We're praying because we're using the Word, because we know the truth. So we use that as our prayer. Father, I know I'm not supposed to be sick. You created me. You created Adam and Eve in the beginning. No illness, no nothing. And I can see, and just start listing off all the verses where Yahshua healed somebody. There you go. See, he healed him. He healed him. He healed him. I'm not supposed to be sick. Just remember, if you're not in right standing, you're praying that illness off you, and then you go do the same thing to do it again. All right, I prayed that cancer out of my chest. I don't have lung cancer anymore. And then you go fire up a cigarette. No. That's not how this works. He might be apt to just let it come back again. Actually, he will have to, because guess what? You're circumventing the hedge of protection by your actions. Just saying. Anyway, praying always with all prayer and supplication in the Spirit, and watching thereto with all perseverance and supplication for all saints. We're all looking out for each other. You see somebody falling, you're supposed to go help them. Not let them fall in a ditch. And then go, aha, look at that. And for me, that utterance may be given unto me. And he's talking about, he wants people to pray. He's asking for people to pray for him. That I may be open my mouth boldly to make known the mystery of the good news, which is Yahshua crucified. Anyway, I hope that actually makes a little bit of sense on what we're supposed to. You got to go through Ephesians 6, 10 through 19, look at each word and remember what each word means. Because that is what we use. The truth, salvation, righteousness. These aren't just concepts, they're realities. Just got to remember, supernatural means it exceeds, it is more than natural. And that's what we're dealing with here. And we're going to start getting into the stuff, y'all. Everybody wants to, what's the names of all the powers and da-da-da-da. But like I said, I can't teach you the names of the powers and principalities and things that you're dealing with until I teach you how to get out of the street and not get run over. So it doesn't matter if you know that was a Mack truck that ran you down. You just need to know how to get out of the way of the Mack truck before it runs you down. I know I get to preaching way too much about some things. Just let it go and